I'm going to share with you the most amazing conversation about trickster beings, about the astral realm, and at the very end, stay tuned because I'm going to show you a little visual clip that highlights exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to see one of those beings / entities walking right into a physical body. Stick around. Yesterday, I uploaded a video called The Astral and Underworld's Collapse. It's a very important video. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it up there for you if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, head over to my YouTube channel, Kerry K. Now, there was a comment that inspired today's video, and here's the comment, and I'm not picking on the person who wrote it. It's the provision for me of the most perfect teaching moment, and I cannot resist using this as an opportunity to share some pivotal, vital information with you. So the comment says, let me just read it again, just so I've got it verbatim. I used to do a lot of astral travel at one time. There were only a couple of times that I encountered demonic type entities. Mostly I interacted with guides, counselors, and teachers. I said this to a friend of mine the other day. Do you really think that demons are going to show up and you're going to recognize them as demons? Do you really think that they're going to announce themselves honestly and say, I'm a demon? No, they're going to dress up as angels. They're going to wear robes that sparkle. And I'm going to share a story with you today, a real life story of my own that really highlights exactly what I'm talking about here. But there's a naivety in the spiritual community. And if you've been there, don't you dare judge yourself. Don't judge others. Don't chastise yourself. Don't chastise others. This is normal. You're innocent. The only reason you're naive is because you're innocent. Please let that in. Please take that in, right? It's more of a cynical perspective, more of a cynical position that would allow you to, off the bat, see what I'm talking about. So if you don't have that cynical perspective, that doesn't mean you're wrong. So I did a very powerful, energetic work with a group of people at one point. And I was what I would call guarding the circle. So can you imagine? I've got people in the circle and they're really in a deep process and there's a lot of very intense energy work taking place. And I am the guide of the group, which means that I'm the guardian of the circle, which means I'm keeping the space energetically pure and pristine, which allows the people in it to embark on a very deep emotional journey, a very deep emotional cleansing. These beings arrive. I see them. They are dressed in glimmering, glittering robes, pinks and a very pale blue and the most gorgeous silvery titanium white kind of color. And as these beings walk towards me, I'm bedazzled because there's just this beauty. Like when I say beauty, I'm not talking about the kind of beauty that you would see in a runway magazine. I'm talking about an ethereal divinity, which is very overt and obvious. And as these beings come towards me and smile with these big, beautiful, white, gorgeous teeth, and this I was so transfixed with the glowing, glistening. I tease my daughter, Lyra, because everything that sparkles and everything that glitters, she runs for. And, well, this was my moment. It was glittery and sparkly. And I was like, wow. These beings have come to support us. So I greeted them and hello and hello. And I also felt, and this is important to know, I also felt, and I'm a telepath, right? This is what I do. I communicate telepathically. I felt love. That means these beings came in with an energy, not just the look of love, the energy of love. In hindsight, it was substanceless. In hindsight, it was a bit empty and baseless, but wait till you hear the story. So these beings are in front of me, glistening, glowing. I say, welcome. And something in me wants to say to them, you know, who are you? I want to know, what are you doing here and who are you? And they said, well, we've come to help humanity. Isn't that noble? Isn't that beautiful? Nothing in me could have second guessed that. And I said, thank you. I felt truly, wow, how blessed are we? But something in me spoke. And I thank God for my higher consciousness that works through me when my human self doesn't have the wisdom in place yet. And something in me said, who are you? And I knew, I didn't use these words, but I knew you must identify yourself. I knew that that was the case. So I was asking these beings, who are you? And they said, well, we're here to help humanity, and this is what we do. And there were a number of them, but the person talking to me was a woman, and she kind of stood in front, and these other beings flanked her and stood behind her. And I must have asked 2-3 times at least, and I became suspicious, because why wouldn't you answer that question? Because whenever I work with the galactics, they introduce themselves, they tell me who they are. There's always a feeling that accompanies their words. And then I started to realize, man, that love, that was more like a drunk feeling, and it was not substantial or real. And then I realized that there was a substancelessness to them, and my suspicion was fully raised. And at that point, almost in a split second, the beings of bedazzling beauty standing in front of me became grey, and their faces were sullen, like cheekbones, like skeletal, and they were withered and worn and grey, and their teeth were chipped and rotting and dark, and their garments were grey and lifeless and hanging. And they said, we are soul harvesters, and we have come here to harvest souls on planet Earth. That is who we are and what we do. And this is how beings who are confronted with truth must answer. This is universal law. So if ever you are in a position of being bedazzled, please ask, who are you? And make sure that the words match the frequency, because they can conjure a frequency that I'm describing to you. You might use different words to describe it, as a drunk love. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? Like a high, like a, ooh, this is beautiful. But you're not quite in your clarity, and you're not quite in your grounded depth, and you're not quite feeling the energy matching with the words. That's going to be what tips you off. But please don't be naive and think for a moment that a demon, an entity, a being of darkness is going to come in front of you and say, hi, I'm a being of darkness, and I've come here to siphon your energy. They will dress as angels. They will dress as, you know, I don't want to name names, because many of you channel these beings, and I have got another video that I put out about why I don't channel, but that's for me personally. You don't have to follow what I'm saying. I only want you to please be aware that darkness does not arrive in any kind of overt statement. It will dress in light. It will call itself by any name, because these, for goodness sakes, these are trickster beings. So when people say, oh, I've only encountered angels, you know, I've been working in the astral for years. No, only guides, only angels. I've got to go, really? I realize that you're convinced of that, and that you think that, and I want to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe that was the case, except I know it's not, because I have journeyed too long and too far to be that naive again, to think that the majority of beings that are operating in astral are operating at that level. They are not. They are. That is the hovel that the tricksters hang out in. Let me tell you something about the astral. Now, I did say in that previous video, the collapse of the astral and underworld, that the astral had collapsed. The reason why it collapsed is because it is an inorganic structure, a very energetically dense, inorganic structure, a false 4D, an overlay of what 4D should be. We don't live in an organic world. We don't live in an organic matrix. It's a false matrix. It's an inverted matrix. And the astral, what we call the astral realm, was the what 4D was meant to be. It was the overlay for 4D. So that's all collapsed. Ugh, bad timing. Husband just got home. Dogs are going to be barking. Let me push pause and I'll finish this in a second. Right. So the inorganic world is exactly the thing that's collapsing. That is the lie. That is the inversion. That is the untruth that can no longer maintain its structure. So you have been living, we collectively have been living in a world of delusion and illusion, and you can confront that and freak out, or you can confront that and get empowered. And that's why I make videos like this, is so that you don't have the wool pulled over your eyes, but that you don't reside in fear either, that you reside in your empowered truth. Because what collapsed all of that inorganic structure is that which is organic, that which is natural, that which is light, that which is you. That is what is working behind the scenes to cleanse and to purify the very vibrational frequency that we've been living in. And that is what is causing the collapses. They are going to be rippling and ongoing. As much as light ripples, the collapse ripples almost the two following suit. Because as truth begins to truly take its rightful place, it cleanses the lie. The way in which higher frequency beings connect with you now is no longer through the astral. It hasn't been for a very long time. So if you've been hanging out there, this is a very good opportunity for you to move into 4D and 5D of the organic matrix. You find that by connecting with your truth. There's a very simple, very basic but pure meditation that I've got on my online shop. It's called the Deep Relaxation Trilogy. I recommend it very often. And the reason why is because it allows you to connect to pure divinity. And that is the guiding light. That is your guiding light that navigates you beyond all of the trickster energy. And then you get to look at the trickster energy and go, man, that's what I participated in. Now, as I leave, I want to show you a little video clip. And this video clip is a wonderful CCTV visual of an entity walking straight into a person's body. And you'll actually see the person jolt, and you'll actually see the person take in the entity and carry on moving. This is why entity clearing and cleansing is so important right now. And it's also why knowing information like this right now is of supreme potency, power, and importance. You are here to birth a whole new world. This is the return of a sacred earth. Some people call it new earth. It is a sacred, true earth, a sacred earth. That is what we are bringing back through our being, through our body. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now.